Getting experience in the last SI helped us a lot to create structure and confidence in the team.
And this is all going in favor of FURIA. He comes out with the big shotgun, finds one, finds two.
This attention that we are having now, it's really good actually, but no, didn't add no pressure for us because we are a building team. We are on a process to grow.
Navi's strengths come in terms of a very strong entry game. When Doki is on his day, very, very difficult to slow him down.
Is that no, that's the real Doki, that ain't a hologram.
On FURIA, I think they're underrated. They're a top 4 LATAM team, but I think people rate them as the lowest out of the 4. But I think they have a really unique play style, and I think they're going to cause a few upsets.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the 6 Mexico Major. I'm Ace of Pyrite and we're switching things up a little bit for you. We've had Jackie hosting the Bravo stream so far, but I'm going to step in for this one game. I'm not Desichu, that much is for sure, but we do have him with us. Let's bring in Des, let's bring in Jackie. They're going to be casting this next match, which is going to be a certified banger. Navi versus FURIA. Talk to me, Jackie.
I'm excited, mate. FURIA, the team that we used to rant and rave about every week back during the LATAM days. And for a first for me, I get to cast Navi. I'm really excited, honestly, because I've always wanted to see Doki play. So now I get to put my voice behind it. I'm moist for this one.
Well, that's it. You're going to have it absolutely first-hand. Up to date, you've only seen the LATAM teams in that sort of fashion from behind the screens, but we've got one of those for you as well. We've got FURIA. You know, they're no slouchers. How are they going to be looking today, do you think, Des?
Honestly, after yesterday, really impressed by them. High, as I mentioned, as one of my top 3 players from yesterday's play day. Looked fantastic on the sledge on Coastline, but the end of that sentence is the bit to pay attention to on Coastline. When we get into a different map that's a bit more structured, focuses less on the kind of 2v1 gunfights, the 3v1 gunfights that SSG were sublime at yesterday, I think you're still going to see a new side to both of these two teams, as of right now, they've only played 1 game each.
This is it. There's a lot yet to be discovered about these two rosters and just how they're going to play out. Now, let's take a little bit more of a look at Navi, Jackie. You mentioned them there. You're looking forward to seeing them. We watched the game yesterday. Obviously, Des and I covered it. What excited you about Navi? What are you looking forward to? Other than Doki, what else do you think is going to be going down in the server today?
I think a lot of it that impressed me was the firepower, right? Although it was a rough result for them and it wasn't the best game, they still had a lot of chutzpah. And the plays that were coming out, a lot of aggression, willing to take early fights, willing to go for those spawn peaks. Some of the Doki did over and over again, that always kind of had me on the edge of my seat. It didn't pay off much that time around, but I'm hoping that there might be a chance we'll see some success from it this time, Tim.
Des, how do you think that Navi shaped up yesterday compared to what we've seen so far in EUL particularly, where it's been a little bit hit and miss at times? How do you think that's likely going to translate today? It was, I thought, a decent performance against SSG, but we know they've got more.
I thought it was more than decent. Again, I was saying it all of yesterday, and I've said it this morning as well. 7-4 was the scoreline. Lots of people are going to look at that and say SSG demolished Navi. They don't stand a chance today. I'd beg you to go back and watch it, because most of the rounds that SSG won ahead of Navi came down to big clutch situations. Hot and cold, we saw pulling it out. Bosco, the GOAT himself, doing some magic work. Looking back at it there, I think Navi could have walked away with that game win. So let's not write them off just yet. They are looking very competitive. Again, this is only their second game. You haven't seen the full story from them just yet. I think they'll surprise a few people here against FURIA.
I think you could be right. The thing is, it's another one of those matchups. I said it about the last one. I'm going to say it about this one as well. Navi, FURIA, both, I think, very evenly matched and both capable of coming in and winning this one. Now, we've had big plays all round. Doki's a player you've picked out, but we've got to shine that spotlight a little bit on Blur as well, Jackie. He has some big moments. We're seeing one right in front of us here with just huge impact plays. He was a little bit quiet yesterday. Do you think we can see a little bit more from him?
I'd hope so. I would like to see a little bit more from Blur, because it felt like him and Saves were two of the big names that were coming up very regularly in the kill feed, doing a good majority of the groundwork in the early round for Na'Vi. If they're both firing all cylinders and we see a little bit more from Blur going into this game, that could be the edge they need, because I think you have to have all 5 fingers on one hand to beat FURIA. They're not a team that's going to go down easily. They're not a team that is going to be going into this game unprepared as well. We know from the past, right, with Twister, they put so much work into preparing for a team that I feel like unless everyone from Na'Vi is playing well, they could come unstuck here.
I'd absolutely agree with you. I mean, the fact is that FURIA are going to take the game to Na'Vi. We know that. There's going to be kill stares. They're going to be raining those bodies down sometimes. Is it all going to be down to a player like Blur to step up and have those impact moments, or is there anybody else that can sort of take on that mantle for Na'Vi?
To be honest with you, Blur's the player that I've always called Mr. Consistent, right? Like, he can step up when it counts, and he's arguably the most consistent player on the roster. For me, it's the 2 players peripheral to him. Doki being the entry player, Saves being the one that often plays out on the flank on something like a Zofia. They're the 2 players that I think you need to see step up for Na'Vi to have a knockout game. Nath and Secretly play more in the backline. They are the more supportive players on the team and the ones calling a lot of the shots too. I think what strikes me a little bit for this team is the nerves that might be coming into it. You know, for Doki, it's his first LAN in a long, long time. For Nath, his first one on a stage like this. For Secretly, went through a rough patch with Chaos. For Blur, and for Saves as well. For them, it's a big step up. It's almost like a first taste of what a major's really like for a good few players on this team. No doubt they're super motivated coming into it. They had a boot camp in Ukraine. Sorry, I was about to say Mexico. They're there now. They had a boot camp in Ukraine before flying out to Mexico. So all the bits are there. They've put the hard yards in, but nothing really quite gears you up for an actual LAN. So to me, that's where there's going to be a bit of a learning curve for the boys maybe coming into this.
Absolutely. We just see some highlights from Blur particularly now. And one of the things that I'm always impressed with Blur is his footwork and his positioning. He's always in the right place to make maximum impact with almost not minimum effort but sort of minimum movement, and he's always just lining his shots up and doing fantastically well. We get a shot of the man himself there. So he always seems quite a quiet individual to me, Jackie.
Mr. Miserable, mate.
This is it. No, you know, there's no. I mean, you say what you mean, Des. Say what you mean, Des. Now, of course, Na'Vi, they're going to need somebody to play against. If we just put them in the server on their own, they're going to win. That much is for sure. But there's going to be 5 players that are going to be doing everything they can to stop that happening. This is a team that you know plenty about, Jackie. We saw the rise of them, and we saw it from a difficult position, FURIA. How are they looking so far?
I thought they looked really good yesterday, came out strong, same old core keys to FURIA, right? The strategy is there. Sometimes it feels like they don't need it. Sometimes it feels like it doesn't even exist, but it's definitely there. Exciting executes, really good aim stars as well. I know we've been focusing on Fantasy as a player to watch, but honestly, it's the old core 3 for me that I've still got a lot of love for. Miracle, Highs, and Lender. They just feel like when they're there, you've got the core unit of FURIA. The communication's always on point. They trade so well for one another. It's just when they go into sites. The spacing has always been so nice between Highs, Miracle, and Lender for me, Tim.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Des, but after yesterday, I think it's fair to say that you are now a converted die-hard FURIA fanboy. So what was it about them that just particularly excited you yesterday?
Give it a rest, mate. You're definitely putting words in my mouth there. I know what you're talking about now. For me, honestly, I was quite sold on Highs. Lender had some great rounds on the Twitch as well, and Fantasy pulls off the fantasy things that he so often does. I think big one for me is more the individual moments of brilliance that we saw on this map as well. SSG for me were better at isolating members of FURIA, picking them off in a 3 versus 1, not really giving them any room to breathe on the defense. But once you got onto attack, it's almost like the pressure was overwhelming coming out of FURIA. I called Highs the pinball wizard a couple of times. You're seeing a couple of his frag kills coming out on screen as well. They look good. Do they look like world beaters? Maybe not yet, but sometimes the greatest champions are forged at the tournament itself, and this is them now striking the hammer to the anvil and making it happen. If they can beat Na'Vi, they send a massive shockwave through the rest of this competition.
Well, this is what it's all about for FURIA. It's about the journey. Twister said it in the video that we saw on the way into this matchup here, and it is all about growing as a team. It's all about developing, and that's something that we've seen taking place. Jackie, do you think they're in a position to actually get that tournament win yet, or are we a little bit away from that?
It feels like the building blocks are still coming in, but they've been building on so much for, at this point, a good year and a bit. They've been putting the groundwork in. Back in the BR6 when we used to talk to Twister, and he'd tell us that I know our team has potential. I know our team has the right players. I know we have the right mentality. It's just about getting the issues ironed out. And week by week, they started to iron them out. The small wins here and there had us more excited every time we saw them. And obviously going into the major as well, first time I had seen them in quite some time, you can see so easily the improvements are there. They look like a quality squad. They've always had the aim to back it up. Are they going to win the tournament? I don't think so. Are they going to be able to push, potentially get out of groups and have a good run? Absolutely. I'd say they still have a shot to get out of this group, even if it is the hardest one in terms of only having 3 teams.
And the thing is, all of that is building experience for them. Every time they go through this process, SI21 here at the Mexico Major, it's all just building that experience. Now, another player that we haven't really mentioned that I just want to bring up, he's one of the newer additions to the roster along with Fantasy, and that's Raya coming in on the support desk. He had a big game yesterday. He's always going to focus on your objective and getting your diffuser down. We saw some flex play from him yesterday onto Flores, onto Blitz. What were your thoughts about Raya?
I liked it for the most part, to be fair. The Flores was the key one for me because that has been my big focus throughout the tournament. I said it yesterday when that game kicked off, keep a close eye on Flores. Makes it incredibly easy to get rid of gadgetry. You're not exposing yourself throwing nades, for example, or chucking gadgetry in. It's just a drone that you can drive around a corner and use quite effectively. Wasn't an absolute blowout performance for him. Went 7-11 in that game, but in the more supportive role, it's kind of what you come to expect. The big difference for me was the impact that was felt in rounds. 80% cost he walked away with after that one map. That is one way for someone that normally plays in the shadows and more towards the back end of the team to make himself known. A good game from him, and again, why I'm excited to see more from them today wasn't just Rare. It was Hyde, it was Lender, it was Fantasy, everyone throwing their lot in, I think, and Rare was just one of those players that really stood up and made himself heard.
He did, and it's great to see because, so often we do gravitate towards the fraggers, gravitate towards the kills, and it's always nice to be able to give the spotlight over to somebody like Rare because he really does have some great performances in him. He's got the diffuser down plenty in stage 2 as well. Lender is a name that popped up. I just want to throw it to you very briefly about Lender, Jackie. We didn't actually use his name too much yesterday, but I think that was maybe a bit of an oversight because he had a great day.
He's always been someone that's been effective, right? I think obviously we had it when he first came into the team. I remember it was a Consulate game where he really struggled and we were waiting for him to kind of find his footing. He was dragging his heels a little bit. Over a course of weeks, it was a night and day change. It felt like he sort of clicked in with the rest of the roster and was just popping off. I hope to see more of that, to be honest, Ace. I want vintage Lender out on the server.
So, we are almost there. It's an absolutely tantalising matchup that we've got ahead of us. Na'Vi versus FURIA. We know the teams, we know the players, we've discussed it all, but there's still one important factor that we need to know, and that is where they are going to throw down. We've got our map veto ready, so we can head into that and we'll see exactly what the battleground is going to be. I'm going to throw it over to you to begin with, Des. What are we thinking in terms of maps? The FURIA head for coastline again?
No. Na'Vi don't head for coastline again. I think after you've seen it once, there's just no way they go there again. Like, sure, you can sit there and prep and counter-analyze it. I don't really think that's the play. I imagine you take Cafe goes away from Na'Vi. I imagine Chalet would get banned out maybe by FURIA here against Na'Vi as well, knowing that Na'Vi has played it an awful lot. That being said, FURIA quite like the map too, so I don't know. I'd like to see Chalet. I'm going to say every single veto we come into that would be a promising one to get to. But I'm going to say no coastline, no Chalet, no Cafe. And then I guess it's kind of up in the air from there for me. I'll go have a dig in the numbers, mate. I'll come back to you after I've had a look at my spreadsheets, yeah?
You come back to me. You know I love a spreadsheet. Clubhouse in Oregon, we keep talking about it, Jackie. Is this going to be the one? Is this the one where we get to see it?
Honestly, it would be a dream come true. When I thought about it and I was looking at this series, I was like, man, if we somehow get an Oregon slipping through, it would just bring back all the memories. It would open up the floodgates. Doesn't look like the Chalet dream's happening, though. We can't have our little holiday away to the Alps, unfortunately. That is a bit of a shame.
No skiing holiday, mate, but we can go and build a building if you want an Oregon. Get yourself in the digger, have a drive around.
I used to be a bricklayer. I could build a nice wall for us. I could probably divide.
You're a bricklayer, really?
Yeah.
Crikey, that's where you get all the lyrics from, mate.
Yeah, that's what it is. I've got strong wrists as well. It's for all the flicks when you're playing.
That's it, mate. That's it. I mean, with Clubhouse also being taken out of Cafe, I thought Cafe would go. Club was kind of, it is the most played map for both of these teams in the last 3 months, so I thought that we might see that. Oregon, I don't think we'll go to. FURIA aren't big fans of that map. They are 3-1 on it, to be fair to them, but they ban it away more than any other map at the moment, so I think that'll get taken away as well. I'm praying it's not Coastline after all I've said. Consulate. I'm feeling
it's
Consulate,
still there.
boys. Just saying. Consulate, it's coming. I'm telling you, it's going to be Consulate. Please be Consulate.
Surely, Na'Vi, don't take us to Coastline. After that performance yesterday, there we go, it's settled. We're going to be heading to Consulate. Des breathes an audible sigh of relief. Jackie, it's a map we've always enjoyed for the LATAM teams. How do you think this one shapes up for FURIA?
I think this will be really fun because Consulate always felt like it was played differently in LATAM compared to anything else, right? Like every time we look at these games, really innovative positions that we take and very aggressive positions as well in the way they would play it. Always offside, always looking for those early frags. Genuinely, this could be explosive. Limited knowledge on Na'Vi on the way that they play Consulate, but based off what I've seen from FURIA in the past, I'm hoping this is going to be a good map.
Well, I mean, Des, we've seen some great Na'Vi performances on Consulate, to be fair. Some of the highlights of Blur that we were seeing, it just sends me straight back
Against
to the
VP.
Virtus Pro game. You know, this is a map that Na'Vi can get wins on, even in tough situations, and that bodes well for them against FURIA, I think, because it's not going to be easy.
To some level, the only game we've seen them play in the last few months was against Empire in Stage 2, if you remember, and they lost that one quite convincingly. 7-4 it was to Empire, and the scoreline reflected really how the game played out, with always Scyther and Shepard having amazing games. On the side of Na'Vi, you only really had Nath doing anything on that game, to be honest. Oki was nowhere to be seen, but that is always the issue that we raised. Oki is a 14-0 kind of guy or a 0-14 kind of guy. On the day, he was 5-9, so not quite the 0-14 that I'll be going for, but you get the idea. It wasn't their best showing, but like you say, we have seen them play well on this map. I think you'll see Doki running around on things like the Mozzie, for example. They will cause a little bit of carnage. Whether or not it's enough to stop FURIA, time will tell.
Who knows? Now then, we have got a map, we've got teams, we've got players, we've got almost everything we need, and we're going to be heading into that game very, very shortly, so get excited about that. But there's, of course, one last thing that we need before we can do that, and that's, I've got to put these boys on the spot. It's been happening to me for 2 days now. We've got to try and get this out of Jackie. I mean, before we do that, we can have a look. We've got a nice graphic with all our talent predictions on, so we can have a look. This is what we called out yesterday.
What a surprise! Screenshot that. Throw it on Twitter. Whoever would have thought this would be your two's prediction?
Jackie and I coming in with the FURIA prediction. We did these last night, so we had a look at the games ahead. Des is still back in Na'Vi. He's on the UK massive hype train. Talk to me, Des. Talk to me about that Na'Vi prediction.
All I can say, boys, is I'm not a LATAM shill, and that's exactly why there's a Na'Vi prediction coming from my side. Now, real talk, I think from Na'Vi we saw the kind of performance that rivaled that of SSG yesterday. I said that SSG clutched up. Na'Vi looked clean. They look crisp. They look fantastic. Is it enough to bring down FURIA, who scraped to win against SSG on Coastline? I don't know. We haven't yet seen the best FURIA, but I just get that feeling from how Na'Vi played. I saw the structure. I saw the belief that I needed in Na'Vi, that they're going to do well. For me, it's got to be the UK boys, and maybe just a bit of bias creeping in there as well. We'll take that, though.
Community poll, we've got that down there. 56% to Na'Vi, 44% to FURIA, so still very, very close. And I think that shows us just exactly how close it is between these two teams. Jackie, you've plumped for FURIA. What's your thinking there?
Honestly, Tim, every time we cut to that wide shot and we have all the players there, there's one man I'm looking at in the back line.
Twister.
And I saw the little glint in his eye. I saw the way he was looking. I saw his biceps through his shirt, and I knew that they would have the edge going into this. I genuinely think they're a quality team. They've got so much explosivity to them when they're going in for these site takes, and they've also done their groundwork. Every game we've seen them go into, Twister's there with Google Docs on Google Docs on Google Docs. So genuinely, I think when it comes down to preparation, I'm going to give the edge to FURIA.
Well, FURIA have done their groundwork, and we have done the groundwork here. We've set the scene. We've told you everything you need to know. There is only one more thing to do, and that's to get into this one and see exactly how it shapes up. It's going to be Jackie. It's going to be Des on the cast, and they're going to have a lot of fun. You take it away, boys.
We absolutely shall. Jackie, welcome back to the mic, my man. You're looking forward to this?
I know. God, honestly, dude, it's been a while. I've had some time off. I haven't been here. It's exciting to come back, and I think it's going to be fun as well because it's so different. So many new layers that have been brought in. You know what? We've got 2 new operators since the last time I was here, Des. This is going to be huge.
It is, mate. It is. You know what? Honestly, the biggest shocker today, and the one thing, it's not going to be a result of a game. It's going to be that you used to be a bricklayer. I'm now starting to kind of think in my head, did you build that shed you're currently in?
No, but I have had a thought about building one out of brick, or at least doing an insulation layer out of brick, but not yet.
All right.
Yeah, not yet.
Quite exotic, that, mate. It's quite a creation. Well, exotic is where we're going to start things off then. Consulate, we're getting into Na'Vi and FURIA, but Na'Vi starting on the defensive side. Keen to see if there's any funky bands coming out here as well.
Oh, mate, I haven't been in a band phase for so long. I'm actually curious
You're tingling,
to
mate.
see, like,
Hairs on end.
genuinely, they're all standing up. I look like I've just touched one of those electric balls, Des.
Maybe Twitch spin around and give you a bit of a shock, mate. You never know. Oh, yeah, the ones that, like... You know the thing as a kid, if you, like, smash one of them, it's going to, like, zap you and you'd die.
Oh, it was terrifying. It looked like it was actually like a Tesla coil. I thought I was paying, like, red alert free, and I was just going to perish the second you touch it.
Red Alert 2, mate. That's where it was back in the day.
Oh, hell yeah. Just spending hours building walls and then giving up.
Prism towers connecting across the whole map.
Oh, man. That's the dream. That is the dream. No walls being put here, though, as we are getting straight through this ban phase. No Thatcher the Smasher, unfortunately. It's a shame. He was always a fan favourite of mine, Des.
Why is that?
Thatcher the Smasher, mate.
There's got to be a reason why. Why was he the fan favourite? Because of the name alone? Or?
Oh, well, partly because of the name, because it rhymes. Also, you just got to rep the boys, haven't you?
That's it, mate. Bring out the SAS ones. And there's another one going away.
Oh, no.
I tell you what, mate. They knew you were casting and said, let's take them both away from Jackie. You got Mute. You got Thatcher. Of course, I still got things like the smoke in play, but that Mute coming away just screams to me we want to deny away that ability to block intel away. So from Na'Vi, if nothing else, that just says to me when they get onto the more attacking side of the map, you might see them a little bit more uninhibited when it comes to the drone work.
I'd hope so as well. I want to see a lot more aggression going into this game. I think based off the back of the two teams we've got here, right, they should be clashing head to head like two hungry lions, and I can't wait to kick it off.
Absolutely. Well, straight away for a spicy lock-in, we've got Chanka being picked up by Nathan on Na'Vi's side. All those fire pellets now carries 14, was it 15? I tell you what, the number keeps on going up that I can't remember to what number we're now at. It's definitely some there up towards 14 or 15. The fiery death that he can spawn lasts a good 60 seconds or so. In fact, I think we timed it yesterday when someone brought it along. You can get like 90 seconds worth of burn time out of the Chanka. You've also got the smoke to layer on. Everyone was kind of going mental when the rework got announced of, oh my god, that's 2 minutes of lockout with the smoke and the Chanka in combo. You won't see it getting used for that purpose, but I do think you'll see Na'Vi playing quite defensive with this lineup.
Oh yeah, it's also just in terms of like the renovation work, it's more cost efficient to just hire one Chanka than it would be 4 men in a white van. All he does is just rip his way through every wall in seconds. It was outrageous, some of the site renovation we were seeing yesterday when it was brought out.
Tell you what, mate, you need to be tapping up your old bricklayers, telling them, mate, I've got one for you, right? Forget about getting the boys in the white van. I've got something called a Chanka for you. They'll have no idea what you're on about, but tell them it's highly effective and they'll love you forever.
Just whip out the LMG, take the wall down, everyone's screaming, we asked you to build a wall, what have you done? So I'm really sorry. Ooh, oh my god, what is Lender doing? Goodbye, Doki. I wanted to see him, Des, but apparently not in the first round.
Might have to wait another couple yet, mate. That was a really good counter shot coming out from Lender Doki. You spoke about his spawn peaks yesterday and what he was doing in those games. Here, though, Lender was just ready. I don't know if that was off the back of a drone or just anticipation, but at this point, I think we can study Na'Vi and know the sort of thing that Doki wants to pull off. Really good response from Lender.
Naughty way to open it. Potentially a trade back in favour of Na'Vi, but Blur not quite able to hit the shots on the angle, so he drops off and repositions for the meantime. That's a naughty way to open it up, though. I was hoping we'd see it, Des. I was thinking, Doki, gonna get to cast him finally. Yeah, the man's probably gonna go for a spawn peak. Just doesn't work as well when you die.
It's one of those high-risk, high-reward moments, right, where sometimes it pays dividends for you, but other times you get yourself shot in the face, as he has now learned. The thing is that also takes away some of the pressure on the top floor, where Blur was originally hanging around inside a console. He's had to drop away. Did get himself back down the bottom of yellow, but now he's crawling his way back up. So, I hope FURIA have done the homework here, got some drones set down, and are looking out for this later round flank that could come in from Blur if left unchecked.
Little bit of chip damage here and there. The info slowly being gathered as well. Lender slithering around like a snake on his belly, looking to get himself another pick for FURIA to put this round into peril for Na'Vi. 1:25 on the clock. 4 alive for Na'Vi, just holding strong.
Absolutely. at the spot. You know that the clock's running down as well. So on the side of Furia, you want to start jonesing yourself up for an execute. The question is, when you've got these roamers on the side of Na'Vi, what can you do about it? Well, you've got to force them downstairs. And I think these final 4 members of Na'Vi have now backed away. Nate's off in Narnia out towards Archives at this point. Should start working his way back across the site because they need those fire pellets to start blocking away any plants that could come through. Rare's moved himself down as we hit that 60-second mark. And with 5 members still alive for Furia, they're looking pretty good. But I'm wondering when this floor starts getting opened up because Highs is above. We saw the work that he could do yesterday. I think they haven't even got a drone inside a bathroom here, Jackie, to know that someone's playing in. Only now does that hammer start swinging. I'm a little bit nervous about the clock, to be honest.
They're leaving it late. Final 30 seconds, but a frag being found secretly. Spotted in the angle behind the shield. A common one, and he's scoped out. Saves goes down as well, and it's just left on 2 men, Nath and Blur. And this round could be over in a blur. A blink of an eye, and it could all be gone for Na'Vi in the opener, unless they can somehow clutch onto it. Spot towards the stairway. Blur not looking fabulous, as he will be dropped by Fantasy. And all of a sudden, it's left on 1 man, the Lord and Saviour.
What can he do? Are you praying, Jackie? Are you religious? Apparently not. Not enough faith there. Not enough being channeled to him. And Na'Vi get flawless round in round number 1. Furia not really looking troubled, to be honest with you. I didn't think there as well. They were quite happy dealing with Doki early on. Blur had to dart back away. Lost his best friend on that top floor. Didn't want to hang around there and get the bad memories. And unfortunately, nothing really being found by anyone. Really good first round from Furia.
No, it was nice. It was good to see as well, Des, because one of the things that I remember used to happen an awful lot for Furia on Consulate was how many times they would just get torn to shreds by the same angle, tucked up on top, just hidden behind the shield. It can be a nightmare if you can't force them off. So although it was a late execute, I like the fact that they isolated the player, took him down, once secretly was gone, then we saw the full commit into the site. Way, way better from Furia. Already, I can see the evolution of a team that I loved many months ago.
And this is it, right? NIP and Liquid were kind of always peddled as the number 1 and number 2, and still quite rightly so are peddled as the number 1 and number 2 of the region. But lapping at their heels are teams like Furia, like Team 1, even a couple of others from the region are starting to fight up that way as well. And it's more as the kind of heads of the region move forward, you kind of leave that path carved behind you that others can then walk down. And at least from Furia in that first attack, that isn't the, the sometimes chaotic style that we see coming out of LATAM. That was one for me of a really composed and structured team. Watching out for spawn peaks, droning out the top floor, making everywhere was clear before they started pushing their way forwards. And sure, it might have restricted them down to about 40 seconds for the execute, but they pulled that off brilliantly as well. Really, really good stuff from Furia.
No, it was huge, man. Like, they've had good strategy. They've also just been very unpredictable. But to be honest, those are probably the 2 traits you would want, right? If you're able to keep things dynamic, but also really have the big book of plays to back it up, you're always going to be happy. Luckily here, Doki not going to be taken down in the opening moments. So we'll see what he can get up to in this round.
Still causing a bit of chaos on the top floor. Again, you'll see this kind of pairing of 2 or 3 potentially hanging around upstairs. Just got to be careful. Lender, the human blender with 2 kills in the first round, needs to be looking for him once again, because Doki, I always get nervous when players sit in this corner like Doki's doing now. If someone gets on that window to your right-hand side, you're basically pinned in. You try and move out of here, you're getting blasted to the high heavens. You get someone playing on the Scarlet who's going to rip a new one with a frag grenade potentially as well. Doki, all too aware of that, wants to get himself out of dodge and will do so pretty damn quickly.
Yeah, doesn't fancy taking a baked potato to the face, so he will keep his distance for now. Honestly, it would really hurt. You think about the density of a baked potato. It'd probably explode on impact as well, Des.
That is very, very true. Yeah, it's crack on the noggin as well. Depends how roasted it is. If it's been cooked a bit too long, it's going to do a bit of damage, more like a rock. Something a bit softer, it's only been cooked for a short amount of time. Different conversation altogether. But Lender, 2 entry kills coming in for a support player at that as well. That just suggests the side of Na'Vi really want to get up in his face and give him some trouble. But he's saying, I'm having none of it, boys. I'm in the back line, and I promise you I'm a solid player. Watch me pick up the entry kills onto these 2.
And you see as well, Blur, filthy cut angle, watching towards the lip of the window. Fantasy's trying his luck there with the zone fear. Little bit of bob and weave. Keeping him guessing for now, but he does have the angle on lockdown. Unfortunately, tagged as he drops out down onto the lower levels. Got to bail out and walks away, losing about 15 HP.
Yeah, not too bad there for Blur. Good to know when to back away, I think, at that point, too. The same as how Doki did out of Console earlier on. And secretly finds one back onto Fantasy. So 4 versus 4. At least this time there is more of a fight back coming from Na'Vi. A bit of bite in the bullet is the only way it can be described. That final 60 seconds, looks like Furia are going to have to do that without Fantasy here. They still have the tools to make things happen. But here, they're still trying to fight across the top floor by the looks of it. Highs trying to hunt down his target. I think one, the Aruni hanging here out towards Connector, but has this cover of the laser gate to keep her safe, too.
2. Back down to the final 40 seconds then. Blur This time a little bit better for Na'Vi. At least it's a fair fight in a 4v4. Doki as well. He's got his wits about him, peering out the window, looking to get a backstab. Saves, however, he fancies the full frontal assault, peering out through the smoke. Doesn't quite catch him, Des.
Now, he definitely saw him out there as well, but I think the smoke just masses you for a couple of seconds. They have no idea he's here. Easiest kill in the world. Wants to swing out for the second as Hives finds one back. Another Lion Scan coming out. He's laid down under the table. Ready and waiting. A 3 versus 2 for Na'Vi and 10 seconds to play. C4 coming out. Whiffs a little bit. Not quite connecting on the ceiling as Miracle bursts his way down Spiral. Looking for one more to get the fight back in. But saves. Superman himself saves the round with a 3K. Na'Vi will take round number 2, Jackie. We're 1 for 1.
There we go. Starting off just the way we want it to. A close affair between two very explosive teams. It was a naughty peek as well. Nice angle, waited for the timing until he just got in front of him, swung out for the first frag. I liked it. It's good to see Na'Vi playing slow, playing smart, Des.
It was, yeah. I mean, for them, it's a bit more composed, as said. You got the one kill that came back for their way rather than losing a member or two out and around the map. Just needed a bit of a pause. I think that first round, a bit of a write-off once Doki lost that initial spawn peak. Didn't go for one in the second round. Much better stuff.
Round 3 then. FURIA doing pretty well when it comes to the opening duels, at least. Obviously, both times now they've been able to find themselves the early entry kill. Didn't look as good that time around. Obviously, Na'Vi just able to play the late card. Had better angles when it came down to it. We are seeing nice strategy at least from FURIA. That's the good thing to keep an eye on, right? Because we know, obviously, if things get too hectic, they can always fall into the all-out sort of LATAM style where you do just speed it up, you do go for the run and gun. But right now, they're playing just standard siege.
It's like when the bell rings at work, right? It hits 12:45 and everyone's like, right, that's it, work's over, boys. It's lunchtime. Let's go and have some fun and feast on the enemy team. It's that kind of thing that we saw in APAC quite a few times as well, is they do try and kind of bring the strategy, the kind of more structured side of Siege for about 2.5 minutes. And then it gets to a point where it's like, right, guys, we've got to cut some corners here now. The budget's been reduced in the bank of time. Let's try and see what we can make happen inside 30 seconds. And that does often look like a bit of a blitz forward in the final 30 seconds and trying to pick up some kills. I haven't yet seen it from FURIA, so I agree with you. It is looking structured. It is focused on the execute. And for me, that's always a good sign of a structured team. One that looks instead for the plants rather than just going for kills. I tell you what, Saves, his soul just departed his body right in the venue. That was disgusting.
Oh, that's outrageous. I mean, you love the audacity of it. Fair play. Saves, hyped up. He's in a position where he's like, yeah, I'm feeling myself. I'll go for the spawn peak. Issue is, yeah, FURIA are just a little bit better at counting it. I mean, how ready you have to be to hit that shot as well. That's absolutely gnarly. Big early frag for FURIA gives them so much more time to play with here. Na'Vi already down to 4 players. Again, there's another opening frag for FURIA.
That's 3 on the bounce now. 2 for Lender, 1 for Fantasy. I imagine there's a point that comes here for Na'Vi where you start having questions about these spawn peaks and how aggressive they want to be. So far, he's done nothing but sting them. One thing I am slightly nervous about still for the side of FURIA is this split site. Very common when you see C4 denials coming from below. Big worry is, I believe, Saves had one of their C4s. In fact, he does. You can see at the top left corner of your screen, that's 0 and 2 next to the C4 icon, indicating the team has got 2. But Nath, the only man alive who's got 1 in back pocket. So he is their only real source of denial, and the Valkyrie is the only source of information they've got to get those C4s off inside of the site itself. So FURIA going to have to go big time aggressive and try and make something happen in the basement, or worry about that C4 dance they're going to have to do inside of the site on the first floor.
In the meantime, the trade comes back in once again, resetting us to a 4-on-4. Minute and 30 to work with. Time ticking away here. FURIA slowly taking advanced position. Good drone usage as well. Spots out Doki, so his roaming position not as effective. Forced to reposition because the jig is up.
And speaking of jig, the C4 is also up to the sky. High is taken out from on high, and Fantasy trades one back. So, not quite the end of the world. C4 kill connects, but it's immediately traded back on to the same player. 3 versus 3, 60 seconds to play. It's where you start feeling a little bit nervous again, Jackie, because FURIA we've seen pull it off really well once with the flawless round. The previous one, they left one player, Saves, undroned, and he stung him in the tail. At least here, he's dead and off the board, but you've got to start worrying about others. Secretly, might be one of those players, Lender, taken out.
Fantasy as well with the timing, dropped down, almost repositioned, had a sneaking suspicion that Doki was coming, but his position compromised. And now so is his life, all on Rare. Will the man be a job well done? Or will it be just that? Left Rare. Pushes out with 30 seconds on the clock. Paranoid about the peak to the left. Tries to clear the angle. Bit of a pre-fire. Comes out. Flicks back. Doki's there. Keeping him locked in. Comes in for the first. But heads blur. bides his time as well. Goes in with the diffuser, trying to get the plant off, but the peek from secretly is all that's required as Big Papa Pump says hello.
Big Papa Pump. Tim told me about this the other day, you know. First time I'd heard him call it. I think he said it on a cast, actually, and I was like, Big Papa Pump, where did that come from? And I was like, wait a minute, I think I know the answer. And he went, Jackie, and I was like, of course.
The classic. Honestly, man, it's just, you know, it puts so much more oomph into the shotgun. Gives it the power. You have to channel the inner rapper inside you whenever you pull out the bad boy.
It makes it sound a lot more friendly, though, right? Oh, Big Papa Pump. It sounds like someone you meet down your local corner shop or something.
Maybe. It's like, God, what is it? It's like a Tweenies character or something. It, like, walks out. But it's just a massive shotgun, but with, like, fuzzy hands. Hello.
I tell you what, Tweenies is traumatizing enough, but if a walking shotgun came out on there's probably a problem with the writers, right?
Yeah, at that point, you know, the writer's room, it's probably gone downhill. Too many late nights. One too many energy drinks. What if we just make a really friendly shotgun?
A few too many games of Siege being observed. I tell you what, mate, you're inspiring a nation now. It's going to appear on the next episode of Is the Tweenies even still going these days?
Probably not. I feel like it's also one of those where it's dated enough as a reference as like 80% of people are probably like, what is a Tweenie and why do they have a gun?
Tell you what, I'm disgusted. It got a 5.1 rating on IMDb.
Did it? I mean,
How?
like, it was pretty good as a kid. The Tweenies was all right. You know, I mean, like, I don't really remember the storylines, but I remember enjoying it as a child.
Apparently, its original release was the 6th of September 1999. It had 390 episodes and 7 series.
Man, god damn. Do you remember the S Club TV show, Des?
I want to say yes, but I don't think I do.
Oh, I was going to ask you what your favourite S Club TV show storyline was.
Oh, I can't say I remember, mate. What's yours, though? Because now you're on the topic.
Right.
You clearly remember something.
There was one where basically they like went back in time and basically did like Grease. Not like Roman Grease, but like, you know, racing. Yeah.
Defenders, protect your
That was probably my favourite S Club storyline. It was quite a wacky TV show.
Mate.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it stuck with you all this time.
No, yeah. Rest in peace, S Club. Dead now, of course.
Beautiful.
Gone,
Beautiful.
but not forgotten. Much like Na'vi at the start of every round, does.
Always someone on the spawn peak gone but never forgotten because you remember them being dead for the rest of that round and the impact that they could have had but never quite managed to slip into. We've seen Doki hit on the spawn peak. We've seen Saves hit on the spawn peak. Nathan, not quite on the spawn peak, but still dying out to Lender. So you know what? Throw them in the basket. We'll call it a 3 and we'll say they've all been hit on the spawn peak.
It's like a caster's dozen. Free spawn kills.
You know, it's funny. As I was saying it, I was like, oh, Baker's dozen. No, it's not quite the same number. And I thought there was some connection there, but you've got it, mate. You've got it. It's a caster's dozen. It's 3.
Oh, there you go. I suppose, to be fair, a caster's dozen could literally be any numerical value. Just decide one at any point.
It's like the one that doesn't really have a value until it's observed. It's like Schrodinger's dozen. We're going to start calling it now. You can choose the number based on the situation.
I think what we should also do is start just basing all of our currency around Tims. So, like, you know, that's like 6 Tims.
What value does a 6 Tim get, though? What could you buy with 6 Tims?
It's probably like £5 to a Tim.
Do you reckon 30 quid for a Tim?
Yeah.
Oh, 6 Tims. All right. All right.
There you go.
Why 5?
I don't know. It was just the only number I could think of. Luckily, Doki, though, he's thinking of numbers. He's going to be able to bring himself up to 2 on the scoreboard as he finally gets the opening frag that Na'Vi wanted. Miracle, not getting a miracle in this round as the Lion is left sleeping. Hello, Highs. Pulls out the nade. Is he going to make it work? Little bit of damage, just blowing the eyebrows off Blur.
You know how it is, what I called him yesterday, the pinball wizard, mate. He bounces these balls around for fun. That one, I think, a little bit short, though. Overcooked, you might say. It's like a badly burnt pizza coming out of the oven. Not quite enough on it to really make it simmer and connect onto the man sat at the top of yellow. And thankfully, at least for Blur, walking away with his life. He would have been 0-4 if he'd gone down to that. Hasn't been the good start for Mr. Consistent that we normally look to see.
Not at all. But a much better start as a whole for Na'Vi here. They are currently leading 2-1 on the scoreboard. They are going to need to get themselves another round here. Furia making the reposition back around. Rare coming in position on the Thermite as well to blow the bloody doors off and open up the site.
Did he
Did he come off the
I
animation?
don't know if that was a late... I think he put it on there, but he put it too far across that the electronics connected onto it anyway. A little bit unfortunate. They can get one open. Oh, and it gets impacted out by saves. That's big. It's going to stay closed, but the frags aren't going to stay closed. 2 coming up on the board for FURIA as they're crouch walking their way through to the side. They see the man. That is a wicked shot from Fantasy, finding yet another 3 versus 2. Saves, bringing one back on the other side. Makes it a second. It's again Jackie saves, saving the round. Seen by Highs up on yellow. Now we've got a 1 versus 1 and 45 seconds to play with. This is so much time to work with.
Oh, can the big sledgy boy take us to new heights, or will he be reaching an all-new low? Walks out, the cam's going to give him away. Quick leap over the gate to get himself onto the site. 30 seconds. Time ticking away. Paranoia kicking in. So many bells and whistles on the bomb site to keep him distracted. Bit of a pitter-patter going through the wall to open up a line of sight, and you can see Highs. He is shaking at this point. Nath playing it safe. Just lock down, hold the angle, and wait for him to give up the game. Based off the contact, we can see him pushing up. 10 seconds now. He's got to be quick about this. Tries to get the diffuser down. Nath coming back round on the flank. Actually pulls off it. Wanted to go for the frag nets, but he baits him out. He's going to hold on the doorway. The spam comes through. Highs! How on earth has he been able to snatch that one away?
Oh, Nath had the right idea as well. Come breaching in or try and do something whilst the plant is going down. The thing is, he started planting with about 10 seconds on the clock. He had enough time to come off, go for a kill, re-stick the plant if he really wanted to. Super smart play coming out from Highs, though. Wins a critical round from FURIA. Brings us back up to 2 apiece.
That's outrageous. It's one of those where you can see it going through his head. He's like, right, I baited him in enough, quickly come off, go for the peak. The second he's come off, his palms must have been sweaty. His knees were probably so weak, right? The paranoia of he's not here, he's not peeking me, just clears the angles one by one, somehow hits the shot. I don't know how he's done it, Des, but fair play. We go 2-2.
Yeah, honestly, mate, this kind of game needs a back and forth. It needs this to go as close to overtime as we can get it. I don't mind if it's a 7-5, but no one wanted to see an absolute rollover. Because coming into the tournament, I think many, except for you and Tim, of course, I know what you pair are like. Coming into the tournament, many were like, Na'Vi, SSG, they walked through the winners here. No contest. But FURIA put on a really good show and beat SSG yesterday in overtime. They're matching Na'Vi step for step here so far today, and I'd wager in some cases even far exceeding them. It means even with a group of 3, it's still not clear-cut who's going to walk out the winner.
No. Like, genuinely, I think if anything, right, it's made this group so much more unpredictable because every game matters, especially when we get onto the repeats as well. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. The amount of blood, sweat, and tears that has to go into each of these best of ones. Your decisive play of if you can win enough games to get out of the groups is such a limited margin here. So Na'Vi and FURIA, they know how much this means, specifically as well with the start that Na'Vi had yesterday. They've got to be going into this one wanting to do a lot more. What they haven't been doing, though, is finding the early frags when it comes to the spawn peaks. They finally denied FURIA getting every entry frag in the prior round. Is that going to be the same this time, though?
Who knows? Oh, this angle always makes me so nervous. I've mentioned about Kanto dying in this doorway so many times for G2 back when he used to play for them. And it's going to happen again. Nath taking a bit of chip damage down to about 66%. Fantasy not quite seeing it as he envisaged it. A headshot would have been the real beauty there, but Nath stays alive and can continue contesting on this top floor. Again, not forgetting this is a press lobby defense. It's more about this hole on the top floor for Blur and Nath to waste a bit of time for as long as they can.
He's like a world planking champion, Des. Do you remember planking?
Yeah, mate, honestly, remember my old chemistry teacher walking into our class once and just planking on the table because we were all doing it as a joke. No. And he walks in and goes, yes, I see you're doing this thing they call planking, and just plank the table, and we just melted.
That's outrageous. He's just dropped a fat plank in the desk.
This is the kind of guy that would whip out a roll of magnesium at the start of every chemistry lesson and just light it to get our attention. He was that kind of guy. You
know, my brother, funnily enough, did that once when he was in school. He stole a strip of magnesium and dropped it down the school stairs and burnt his eyebrows. Yeah, I don't know. He was just a really crazy kid, I guess.
Just why not stick some magnesium on the eyeballs? Oh, Doki landing a few bullets on the eyeballs of Lender. Instant headshot coming through. A second out for Nath. 2 in the round for Na'Vi. This is how I think they envisage things going with their early aggression. And yes, it's not super early. It's over halfway through the round. But 2 kills coming at that point completely removes any of the pace and pressure that was coming out of FURIA.
Yeah, now they're really starting to rack up the body count as well, right? Rare down, just on the floor. Nothing much that can be done. Effectively just Miracle and Highs left alive to try and secure this round for FURIA. FURIA. A 2 versus 5 at the best of time.
Attackers recovered.
It's going to be a very tall task. In through the window, trying to see if he can get his teammate back on his feet. So Rare, at least back in the game for now.
Here we go, the push-up coming in from Doki. Honestly, this man is a little rat, running up and down stairways here and finding everything that he wants. 2 kills, 1 coming out the garage door, 1 coming up yellow. Keeping them guessing for sure, and finally someone's going to put an end to the menace. Miracle taking up the role of Exterminator and putting 1 down, but there's 4 more still scurrying throughout the halls of Consulate they've got to deal with. We've only got 25 seconds, Jackie, and it's a 2 versus 4.
Will Remy the Rat be able to overcome and get the 5-star rating he wants for this restaurant? I know it's a Consulate, but the joke still applies. 5 seconds left basically here as we get into the last 15 seconds of the round. Miracle, he's on his advance. Comes around the corner. Issue is Blur's waiting and Nafe's there to clean up on the last man. Just like that, they get dropped. FURIA suffering for some success here as Na'Vi start to build themselves a nice lead, Des.
Well, that one was a pretty clear closeout for Na'Vi. The most convincing round of the 5, I think, that we've seen so far. FURIA have had a couple where they have looked strong throughout it, but I would be surprised if this half doesn't end at 3-3. I think FURIA have got it in them to take a round win here. This is going into the archives and tell us site. The one that we spoke about that was a little bit strange, a little bit wonky earlier on. FURIA did walk away the loser in the round, so keep a close eye on how this one plays out. But I'm hoping there's some lessons learned from the last time they attacked into this site.
It feels like we're back at your school, Des. You know, Professor Doki's there. He's pulling out the magnesium strips. Everyone's screaming, going, please, Professor, stop. He's like, yeah, look what you can do with this Bunsen burner. Doki, no!
The man's from Glasgow. I imagine he did some far more sinister things with Bunsen burners back in his day.
Man. It's like when everyone used to leave the taps on and just put loads of toilet roll in there. So you go into the toilet, it looked like the toilets from Harry Potter. Like Moaning Myrtle comes out.
The worst one is when they start wetting the toilet roll and just wanging it at walls, and you walk in there and they're like, you know what, I didn't like that wall was blue, it needs to be white instead.
Yeah, or when it's just on the ceiling, you walk in, you're one of the unfortunate souls, gets hit on the head by like a fatberg from the ceiling, basically.
Man, schools in the UK are grimmer than I remember. Now that I'm starting to bring back all these memories, I'm just like, oh no.
It's when you think about it, you know, you think about, like, especially in TV, like American schools, and you look at English schools, and it's just like, we just bundle each other and light Bunsen burners.
I remember being so jealous that a lot of NA schools didn't have to like wear uniform to go to school. And we did. I used to lament it.
You have to channel that anger. It's what you let out when you play ranked, Des. Right now, this is looking like a game of ranked when it comes down to the early spawn peaks. It's been working well for FURIA for the most part. Trailing now, though, on rounds. 3-2 here as we go into the 6th. Let's see if FURIA can get themselves back on top, or if it might be a cheeky play from Na'Vi. Saves was going for the peek out the window initially. Bit of gunfire exchanged as well.
Yeah, much the same in terms of setup, by the way, coming out of both teams here compared to the last time round they played on the site. A thermite coming out of red is the one thing that I kind of look at and go, that's a little bit curious, because last time round they swapped that out for an IQ to bring along. You've got Lender playing it on here, no Habana present like they had the last time they attacked the site, and that does tend to be a little bit better for assaulting onto here, especially when you're looking on the downstairs walls, for example, that you might want to get opened up. You don't really want your thermite getting too close to those, enough so that he might find himself getting tagged out, so keep a close eye on it, and they're still got to worry about Says lurking around in bathroom.
Na'Vi, they've rung up the local painter. They've given him some guns and they have said paint Consulate red. They are just waiting for FURIA to rock up and give them the paint that they are hoping for. 1 minute and 40 seconds on the clock now. Slow and steady so far from FURIA, taking map control bit by bit. Drones going out as well. Not wanting to walk into the unknown, Des. Playing it safe.
Absolutely. Picking it nice and steady. Says is the one that concerns me. In fact, there's quite a move here. 3 of them have now burst their way down inside the basement. Says is looking for a flank. If he catches out Fantasy here, that'll hit them hard on the flank. Scan coming in. Can't move just yet, but this is where he can strike Jackie.
Through the smoke, here we go. Saves. Can he be the silent assassin that they need? 2 headshots onto the back of Fantasy. And see you later, Lender. As the treacherous triple kill comes out, the man is absolutely popping off. And all of a sudden, we're left with one man. The king of the jungle, but not the king here. See you later, Lion, as Blurs finishes him off, peeking over the banister.
Saves with that 3k coming down. Spiral was the big difference maker there as well. Unchecked, untested, no flank drone watch coming in for the side of FURIA. They did the right thing. They focused on coming in from the west as well, through Garage, pushing the way across, and then looking for the execute. But the problem is, this is why you have so many teams focusing on full vertical clears before they think about an execute. You haven't got that control. Someone's going to flank you down a staircase. That's where things like a Nomad come in handy, banned away here, in which case you turn towards things like maybe a Gridlock that we saw Invictus Gaming bringing yesterday. Or you just set up flank drones. There's so much that you can do to control it, but one small misstep, no one keeping a close eye on Spiral. They smoked it off thinking that would be enough. That wasn't going to stop saves. The man will walk through that smoke quite comfortably and picks up a 3k. Na'Vi walking away at 4-2. What I felt could have been for FURIA, if that had gone right, a 3-3 scoreline.
The crazy thing is to me as well, Des, right? For anyone that would be watching that at home, the way that was played out, it looked a lot more European. It felt like it was a more standard way of approaching Consulate from either team, right? FURIA now on defense. One of the things that I used to notice so much in LATAM was the way that FURIA specifically as well would play quite differently. They were willing to hold very different angles. I could say go aggro, but we've seen everyone going aggro so far into this match. I'd just like to see them more falling into what they sort of carved out for themselves. It feels like they're playing Na'Vi's own game a little bit, Des.
10 seconds remaining.
Absolutely, and I do want to touch on Sage for a quick second too, because we said in the pre-show, you know, Doki's a player that all the eyes kind of fall to how well he can play. Blur, Mr. Consistent, also has quite a bit of focus, but Sage in this game has been the big one for me. 2 3Ks, 1 in round 2, 1 in round 6, essentially solo winning a round for the team. That's the kind of delivery that you really want to see.
Oh, he's giving it all out, mate. He's like a postman, just constantly delivering. He does not stop. 8 frags to his name right now. Let's see if he can rack up some more into the 7th. Early commotion across the board. Na'Vi holding their angles outside, expecting the potential for a peek. Lender opening up the window. Just a cheeky spot on the back of the black eye as well. Spots one and at least has the info.
Just for now. One hovering up and you can see this camera out. Jump out is prepped. The man's going to look out to his right here and try and make it happen. Realise he didn't have an extra hit on. The problem is if he'd had 2 hits, he would have been able to get the jump out, but didn't have it, I don't think, so then backed away. But look at this. On the left-hand side, there is someone watching that window, daring Lender to strike out that he hasn't seen. It's secretly. Fantasy's out, and there we go. Secretly, the silent watchman off to the left-hand side secures Nate's life. That's what you want from a trusty support.
Oh, Blur. Taking bullets to the face. Not burnt to a crisp just yet. The Ash able to stay alive, but barely. Fantasy on the reposition. Clearing through the offices. Easy chest shot onto Blur. He was so low, you could have sneezed near to take him down. Saves with a switch up as well. Lovely little headshot back onto Fantasy, and we're left in a 3 versus 3. Minute and 35 on the clock, Des.
Absolutely. I mean, looking across the board here as well, what's left for the side of FURIA? You got a C4 on side. I imagine maybe just the 1, in fact, yet for the Kaid. You got 3 smokes on side. You got these evil eyes that can still do damage unless they've been cleared out. I'm not quite sure how many still stand. The thing is, I'm looking at on the other side is the potential frags they've got. There's at least 2 coming in on saves. I think Doki died with 2 in the back pocket, which is unfortunate. You really want those for the vertical damage and removal of gadgets on the below. And this wall is still electrified. Na'Vi needs to get that cleared out, and you've even got Highs playing a little bit of a roam role here, waiting for someone to come pushing down Spiral or down those service stairs, and that's when he'll strike.
The utility economy is looking good for Miracle at the very least. The 3 smoke cans in the back pocket. Only 50 seconds left on the clock as well. So if he can keep himself alive and make use of them, so much time could be burnt off the clock here. Secretly, finally in position with a thermite charge. Blows the back off. Talking of blowing up though. Goodbye, Nath. C4 to the face. Rare's going to leave him breathing no more. And there's only 2 Na'Vi players left. Isolated. Completely different levels at this point. Saves up top with a sledgehammer. Panicking to open up the floor. No one there. No one to receive his gift of death, Des.
This is the problem, right? You're now in a spot where you've got to force your way through these long angles. There's a shield watching you too. You're being smoked out constantly. You could try and step in, but you will be challenged. He's looking for the man at the back. Out comes one smith. You could try and go near for a plant if you really want to, but shut down by Miracle, who's playing off towards the left of Rare right here. There's one more left. It's an easy closeout for Rare. FURIA taking round 7.
It's such a dirty angle as well. The amount of times I've seen players just going uncontested there. Literally just slightly up on top of the scaffolding with the shield down. Somehow they just go absolutely unchecked every time. Such a hard position to clear out if you don't get the top floor control. And we're seeing there as well towards the end the prevalence that it has. We do go 4-3 then. So FURIA starting to get back into the game. Looking like this could be a juicy one now they're on the defense.
Yeah, that one there was an interesting one because for Na'Vi, I don't really think they had any drones left. They couldn't get back on drones in time to go and find out where those last 2 or 3 players were. You can see that from the way the pipes angle coming out of Rare just helped them collect the final kill. Miracle finding one, completely unanswered by the side of Na'Vi. Really good control coming out from Furia, even when that jump out on Yellow Stairs failed a bit earlier in the round. Let's get though onto the top floor, the site that has the lowest defender win rate in Europe. It is a LATAM team defending it, but maybe there's a fair reason why it's so low in Europe is that European teams know how to attack it. Na'Vi the ones here with the burden of proof that need to show what they can do.
Yeah, but the Brazilian teams, they know how to really defend it, Des. That's the difference. You know, the B in Brazil stands for defense.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah. If you like turn it the other way around and slightly get rid of the middle bit, probably.
Just get a little like a razor job on it, mate. Give it a go.
Yeah, only issue is if it's written in pen, you can't get rid of it.
You know, all these references about school today are really coming back to me. So I'm thinking about, like, eraser. We don't call it really an eraser. We call it a rubber in the
Rubber,
UK.
yeah.
Rubber has so many terms and definitions that it's almost one of the things that you know, now you look back on it and think, man, adults coming back into a high school, dodgy ground.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite confusing if your teacher came in and started giving everyone rubbers. You would be a bit confused.
It would definitely confuse a few people, needless to say. I've got to touch on for Furia, the intel game they're playing here, by the way. The Valkyrie, the Echo, the Mozzie to catch some of those drones away as well. So much info they can feed back and forth, and that was the big thing that lacked for Na'Vi in the previous round. You can steal more away with that Mozzie, but then reuse it alongside the Valkyrie and the Echo to give you all that intel you need on what Na'Vi are up to. This could play out really well for Furia if they've got those Yokai drones in the Black Eyes position well.
Na'Vi slowly making their ascent. Ooh, drone coming in as well. Highs just hiding on the angle behind the shield. Does hear it and hoping to go unchecked. Smashes out as well, giving away the position for now. Going to reposition just slightly behind the desk. Rest of Na'Vi finally shuffling up, starting to hustle and bustle. And it seems like they're setting their focus to move over towards the B site.
Absolutely. Think stepping forward.
Ooh.
Yellow going to be the point of focus, and Fantasy just gats Stokey down before he can even step in. We saw about the earlier entry trades that he had to take. He did start to warm up and got himself back to 2 and 2 on entry, but with that one, falls down to 2 and 3. So filling his role as the entry, but not necessarily finding the entry every single round.
Are we going to hear the dinging of the victory bells for Furia, though, on this defense? Right now, they do have the better manpower. Battle of attrition's been going in their way. Fantasy as well, really causing a bit of a ruckus. 10 frags to his name.
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
Let's see if he can try and make that 11. Holding close towards the stairs. Paranoid about the push to come out, but scoped in and ready to strike.
Makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, when they're all starting to gear up around Yellow Stairs in the CEO window. You've still got those Yokais on side. Highs completely unchallenged. No one out there to threaten him. He can just sit and play on those cams all day long. You potentially got C4s from below. A lot of control being lapped by Na'Vi to make this one work, and numbers. They're in a 3 versus 5, let's not forget. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, how does this attack work out for you boys? What have you got in the tank that you can bring out in these difficult situations? Otherwise, Furia bring it all even at 4-4.
Hopefully what they've got, Des, is this man on your screen. Saves. Goes in with the rambunctious rappel. Gets himself on the ground. Paranoid about the cameras, so we'll start to rip them down. 30 seconds left. Saves. Oh, you cheeky bugger. Hits the headshot back onto Fantasy and gives them a slight opening. It's a crack. If they can somehow drive a screwdriver in there and crack it wide open, there might still be a chance. 20 seconds left. They're going to have to be fast about this one.
They are. It's going to be panic stations now as well, because you're down to a point where these Yokai drones, have been speaking about them all round, can strike big unless they can kill Highs. That might be a thing. Actually, it's Highs taking the challenge. Of course he would. Why wouldn't he? C4 comes out. Yokais are still intact. Saves. Has got to go for frags, and with 4 seconds on the clock, it's simply not going to be a thing. Furia with a nice rock-solid defense there. The coconut, a little bit too hard to crack with that screwdriver, Jackie.
And if we just tune into Ace's mic in the background, Des, we can hear Furia, Furia, Furia. Furia. It's happening. It's happening. Here we go. 4-4. Round number 9. The game is all tied up. Furia on the defense. It might be a hard sight to hold, but it was definitely a pretty sight from them in the round, Des.
All I'm going to say is Ace will be sitting there cheering that. Oki will listen back to the stream later, hear that, and Ace is then officially off his Christmas card list.
Oh, you can't do that to a man. If you take him off the Christmas card list, that's basically like you're just not friends anymore.
Do you send Christmas cards?
I don't anymore. I used to previously, about 10 years ago.
I've just... I've never seen the point. I'm the kind of person who also absolutely detests birthday cards, though.
Really?
I hate just having them in my house. Yeah, I'm like, look, honestly, forget them. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. Then the next week, they're going to be in recycling. I'm just not interested.
See, you know,
in fact, the only one I've still got is from my nan.
Oh, that's fair.
The only one.
I think I've got a nice one from my nan from like years ago that I kept because it was like, oh, I'll keep that. That'd be a nice little memory to look back on. See, the thing is about birthday cards is it's always really underwhelming because obviously once you get old enough, you never really get money in a card anymore. So you stop being able to gauge how happy you are by how much money falls out when you open it. Other factor is people stop just writing in them, Des. You just get like 2 Jack. And then the happy birthday that's in the card. It's like you couldn't even write happy birthday. What the hell?
It's the effort that counts, right? I'm just like, look, I get it. You've got the pen out that you haven't touched in the last year since my last birthday, and thought, you know what, I'll write some stuff in there. Cool, whatever. I'm not interested. And you kind of feel bad if someone does give you money, I think, because you get on a little bit. You're just like, as a kid, you're like, oh, wicked, I'll go and buy some sweets. But as a bit older, you're like, well, it's that awkward negotiation game of, did I get you a birthday card? And did I put money in it? Because if not, I owe you on your next birthday. And then you're stuck in kind of like a lifelong altercation of, until I'm 60, on giving you money, who's going to pass away first and stop having to do this little trade that we've got going on.
It's outrageous. It's like slowly being in debt to every member of your family, but you're all in debt to each other, and no one really knows whose debt it is. It is quite confusing.
That's it. Kills me, mate. Absolutely kills me.
It's outrageous.
Let's see, though, how the round plays out. This time, press and lobby going to be where we step into, and once again, FURIA stepping back towards this intel-heavy setup. Looking towards the Echo, the Valkyrie. It's kind of been their go-to bread and butter in this half. Last round, we didn't see it, wasn't even really a need for it. High's very happily taking some scouts with the secondary. Didn't need to really rely on the Yokos, but they were there as a bit of insurance. It's always nice to have a backup.
5 seconds to go.
It should be a very tasty round indeed, though. Round number 9 has been sent alive. 4 on the board for both Na'Vi and FURIA. It's been a quality game of Consulate up to this point. We've had the early aggression. We've had the wild late round free Ks that have been coming out. Right now, though, I want to see what Rare's going to be dishing out. Seemed like he wanted to try and go for a play off the back of the window, but forced off and does rotate out for the meantime.
See it all the time, right? These teams both just want to get up in each other's grills early in the round, start going for spawn peaks, catching someone off as early as they possibly can. Because the thing is, it's like playing one of those claw machines at like a fairground or something. You just don't know what you're going to get, and you might get the grand prize. On a site like, say we're attacking in the downstairs in basement, you pick off the thermite, you remove the only hard breach choice they've got. That is worth its weight in gold.
See, the fun thing is about those, right, is obviously there's like an internal rig rate that you can set of what percentage the claw will have like full strength. But in South Korea, like the rig rate's like super low. So I just won loads of Pokemon when I was there, Des.
Oh, really? And then shipped them all back?
Yeah, I brought them back in the suitcase. I used them as pillows.
Dream, mate. And now they're in the sheds.
Yeah. Now they live here.
That's the dream, mate. The claw, as we'd all say back in the old day. Everyone remembers Toy Story, I'm sure. Well, not everyone. A younger
if
you
you've
may
seen
think
it,
to me, what the bloody hell's Toy Story?
Yeah. What do you mean it's a movie about talking toys?
It's that crazy, kids, trust me. Let's see, they're
used to be
halfway through the round. I know, right? No one being picked up in the early round. And I like as well how the acknowledgement on Na'Vi's side is there, that IQ needs to come along here. Those black eyes, nightmare. The Yokais, nightmare. Let's not forget as well that IQ has got some changes coming through, revealed in the latest season reveal. Be able to ping gadgets through walls, going to be really helpful, but for now it's more about the communication level of things they're looking towards. Say's the one currently playing by this front door with Blur as a bit of support. Oki off towards the left, and Nath finds Fantasy. That's a bit of a reversal of fortunes. That, I think, actually, is Fantasy's first opening death in the game.
Ooh, Lender, he's pulling out the hand cannon. The Deagle with a headshot. Smooth frag to find. Does take a little bit of damage as he sprints out of there as well, but he's skedaddled to safety, and he's also serving up more success. The second frag found for Lender. All of a sudden, the round has turned on its head, left with just 3 players alive for Na'Vi. Nath, one of them. A sneaking suspicion that Moaning Myrtle is still lurking in the girls' bathrooms. He'll hold the angle, tries to spam down. Few tags, but no frag. Rare, on the other hand, pulls out the MP5 slays from far away as Doki's done. Miracle on the murderous spree, takes down Nath as well, and it's all on Blur in a 1v3.
Rare from above to collect that final kill. They did not expect him to be sat there behind the soft wall inside a bathroom. Moaning Myrtle, as you say. Murderous Myrtle, we'll start calling her in that instance, Jackie. A good round coming out for FURIA. These two staying pretty neck and neck, but FURIA just edging ahead with that round win.
Huge round. Big momentum now for FURIA as well. You're in a dream position, right? You know you're close to having that safety net of being in an environment where, worst case, we have to play it for OT. Best case though, Des, they're set up now where they could actually go on to win this game. Get yourself to 6, sit pretty and close it down. Defense for FURIA was always their stronger side. They had good executes on attack, specifically on Cafe they used to impress me. But the one thing I always noticed was how good they were on defense. Coming out on here, it's looking nice, you're winning tough sites, you're in a good spot. They've just got to keep this up.
Ooh, okay. It gets a bit nervy if you are an RV fan, as you say. Defense where FURIA here to be quite comfortable for the most part. 3 rounds on the bounce now. Nothing being sought back by the side of Na'Vi. And they've looked a little bit lethargic almost on the attack side, I think, where it's been a little bit slow, maybe not so coordinated. It's been the final 60 seconds and we've only just started getting the sledge swinging away at the floor, for example, or all 3 players have had to rotate in a 3 versus 3 and then start thinking, oh yeah, we've got a game to win here, boys. Let's start thinking about that execute. And they're still being played, I think, by the IQ, sorry, by the IQ, by the Valkyrie, by the Echo. Big difference in this round. They've dropped away from playing the IQ and probably think, you know, it's not actually giving us all that much benefit. We aren't having time to deal with that gadgetry. We'd rather bring along some more firepower, bring along the sledge and use that out in the initial round to help us get set up for an actual execute. Worry about what's on the site when we get there.
Thing is as well, Saves obviously packing heat, right, with the 2 frag grenades they'll have tied to his belt. We saw how much use FURIA got out of them when it came to clearing out angles and getting chip damage. Hopefully Na'Vi can do that, but Saves, he doesn't need his nades. Instead, focuses on the primary weapon as he'll be dripping with swagger. Drops down 1 man, that's Lender gone. That's a big fragger for FURIA to lose, Des.
It's not really the best one to start off with. It is a C4 taken away. One that would have been in back pocket and available. In fact, there's one already deployed out on the field here from Fantasy. Here we go. It's going to go high. It's sky high. Surely. No? No? There we go. I was going to say there's a bit of a delayed reaction there, but does eventually come out. That's what you're looking for. But not a kill coming through either way. That's unfortunate. Blur going to keep himself alive for now at least.
Opening up those hatches, doing a small amount of renovation. We could see some rambunctious play here, though. Doki on the sprint down the stairs, holds on the close angle whilst his teammates get involved in a little bit of chaos themselves. Nath kills 1 as Fantasy will fall. Doki gives up the goose as his position will be compromised. He backs off. Rare, dashing out the nitro cell as well in case there's anyone lurking up above towards piano.
Waiting, lurking, 4 versus 3. Na'Vi, the numbers advantage that they want. Miracle I'm still looking towards there with all 3 smoke canisters in the back pocket. The scary thing is we're looking at that kind of consideration and thinking about the site while there's still 1.5 minutes to play. That is a lot of time. So forgive me if I'm starting to feel a little bit pensive here for Na'Vi and how they might actually walk away with the win unless Miracle can do something special. Already bringing out one of those smoke canisters this early on. That's not so good.
It's rough, right? Starting to dry up on his utility. Potentially could find himself hung out to dry as well. Doki pushes down, gets control towards the spiral staircase, causes the rest of the team to reposition. FURIA now slipping back, giving up control to Na'Vi. Diffuser in the hand of Nath still as well. They do have a big edge to work with here. 40 seconds on the clock. Doki goes in. And Doki hits a smooth headshot, stays alive as well. Barely. Somehow been blessed to keep his heart pounding in his chest. With 30 seconds left, Des, all they've got to do is find 2 more Brazilians.
I'll try and find both in one. Gets a shotgun through the wall.
What?
Oh my god, Miracle's just gone massive. Rare finds a 2k as well. Saves is the only one left alive. This is going to be problematic at this stage. For Na'Vi, I don't see them walking away with the win with 15 seconds to go. Saves has got to do something big.
Oh my goodness, he's predicting the future as he comes round the corner, hits the headshot onto Miracle, switches back to the primary. 7 seconds. Let's start to speed this one up. Jumps out, peers over the bonnet of the car, couldn't quite connect it. Rare's going to take him down, and FURIA, they get to match point. 6 in the bag. The Brazilian side is looking poised for victory.
Oh, okay. 6-4. That'll be massive because for FURIA, now they start to stir the pot if they win this game. They beat SSG, they beat Na'Vi, and let's not forget, Jackie, they've got 2 games to play tomorrow. Each of these teams in Group B has a double play day. Na'Vi need to get something from this game, even if it's an overtime point of some kind. I don't feel like they can afford to go into the next play day because otherwise they have to beat SSG and they have to beat FURIA tomorrow. That is a tall order.
This genuinely could be such an important game, right? If they lose it, they're stuck in such an awful spot. There's only 3 teams in the group. There's limited chances, and those chances are falling to the wayside game after game. The only way for Na'Vi to get back into this now is to win 2 rounds on the trot, push us to an overtime. And even then, Des, that's just to have the chance. That's no guarantee.
Just had the call come in, by the way. Hello to people on A-Stream. Hi, Mum. But now famous, apparently, Jackie, is A-Stream has got some tech issues going on. They've opted to put our wonderful dulcet tones across on A-Stream. What a mistake that could turn out to be.
Everyone's tuning in going, I'm really confused. There's 2 English, I think, people there, and all they're doing is talking about bangers, mash, and rubbers.
Bangers, mash, rubbers, and the tweenies. Let's not forget.
Everyone's going to have nightmare fuel from, like, Googling the tweenies. Just like, wait, what are they?
Yeah, that was... you look back at it now, and kids' TV show writers are of a different breed, is all I'll say.
Oh, back in the day, man. It was, you know, you don't get cartoons like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy anymore.
Mate, that's traumatic stuff. That is nightmare fuel.
It was so
Courage the
good.
Cowardly Dog.
Oh, dude, Courage was unreal. Courage was in its own league of just incredible TV show.
Anyone who's never heard of Courage the Cowardly Dog, please go and watch an episode or something on YouTube and tell me if you agree, because to me, I think it was traumatic, but not so much for me, but now I look back on it, absolutely could see how it could be.
Just Google Return the Slab and then just go down the rabbit hole from there. Educate yourself about courage, because courage is something that Na'Vi will need in this matchup. If they look like a terrified small dog, they're probably likely to lose it to the Brazilian side of FURIA. 6-4 at the minute. 2 minutes on the clock. No early frags this time. Say that, though. See you later, Fantasy, as he's fragged out by Dirty Doki.
Dirty Doki, the terrier, you might want to call him as well. Nipping at those heels. Short in sight, but not in frags. At least with Fantasy being taken off the board. The player that, again, I mentioned prior to these last 2 rounds where he's been the opening death in both. He was 3-0 on the entry. Been a big impact player for them, but Doki's fighting back, as is Saves. How many times have we got to talk about this guy in this game? It feels like he's on 14 kills. The man's popping the hell off. The 3K in round 2, the 3K in round 6, and since then has just gone from strength to strength. We spoke about blowing the peripheral players to him. Saves is one of those players, and he's really starting to make himself known.
Oh, yeah. Saves with swagger. He's been the one stunning Lender, though. Oh, my. See you later, Doki. He has just been uppercut. Drops the nice shot, and fair play to him. Always hard to hit the hurty-verties, but he made it look easy.
Hurty-verties, that's a new one, and I quite like it.
There you go, mate. I stole that from my time in Quake, to be fair. So, pay back to the
I feel like I've
greats.
signed up to like a free trial of Jackie's Rhymes or something, because earlier it had Rinsed for Rin, which I quite like. I haven't heard that one. Hurty-verties, you getting in there, mate? I'm getting my money's worth here. Absolutely.
That's what I do. I'm like one of those online courses, but by like 15 minutes in, you're like, this guy doesn't know anything. He's just talking.
Fine by me, mate. Keep on talking because we all love it. Miracle, the one playing inside a connector here, smokes in hand, straight up to the top of the service stairs. There is one out on balcony, but of course, they're a bit wiser than that. It's not like you're stepping into a rank game where they aren't aware of that potential angle. Nath keeping himself secure and just waiting for someone to expose themselves, waiting for his team to make some movements happen, and that's when he'll be able to snap the head off someone.
Final 25 seconds. Lender still showing his level of lethality as he rips his way through saves, dropping us back into a raw 3-on-3. 15 seconds to work with. Do or die for Na'Vi. Lose this round, lose the game. Nath tries to step it up, comes flying in through the window like the SAS, and he is going to be blessed. Double kill, all on one man now. Lender, he's already done so much into the round, but he's got to get the ace to shut it down. Sprints his way forward, causes a bit of commotion, flicks round on the close angle, but he loses it secretly with the clutch. Na'Vi still in it to win it.
I thought he might land that shot, Jackie. I saw the ace. I saw Lender's names up in lights. We spoke about him on the Twitch yesterday, but that was bloody close. Na'Vi keep it going just about. We're going all the way to 12, and overtime could be on the agenda, but Na'Vi have got to break through Furia's furious defense.
Man, Lender, honestly, I don't know how he can even play. How's he keeps himself composed at this point? Some of the shots he's getting, some of the rounds where he's getting so close to being the one-man army that FURIA need. I'd have to take a breather, Des. I'd need like 5 minutes.
And we all need it, mate. Grab a cuppa, sit down, prepare yourself for round number 12 because it's going to be an absolute slammer. Change coming in here with the 6th pick as well. The 6th pick across to the Vigil for Fantasy. So not being on the Jaeger. I see that. I see the Iana. I see the Sledge. I see 4 frags being brought along by the team. And I get a little bit nervous because there's no Wamai. There's no Jaeger. Those frag grenades are going to be free-flowing. And that's where I get a little bit concerned. It depends, of course, where the side of FURIA want to set themselves up. But there's nothing to catch those little balls of death flying through the air.
There's one thing I love, Des. and it's balls of death. So hopefully more of them come out into this round. Na'Vi need to be rolling them out. 6-5. So close to FURIA being able to lock this game down. Another best of one that would be under their belt in the group effectively would be hammering in nails to the proverbial coffin of Na'Vi.
I love it. This group has just been so back and forth constantly. That game yesterday between Na'Vi and SSG, nail biter, start to finish. FURIA versus SSG on Coastline, 8-7 to FURIA. Again, nail biter. This one, still not clear as to whether or not we go to overtime, but Group B, despite being the smallest group so far, has delivered the best bangers of all the games that we've seen. I'm living for it.
It has had ridiculous quality of games. It's been sick. For FURIA, are they going to be left with a queasy feeling off the back of this round? That's the big question mark that we're staring at. Waiting for answers from Na'Vi. So far, standard stuff into the round. Nothing crazy coming out. Just taking their time. Nath, though, apparently decides that it's time to die for fantasy. He'll be dropped out. Another big fragger removed there for FURIA Dez. He's had 11 kills into the game, but he'll have no chance to frag in this round.
No, not in this one. I mean, he's the one that you don't really want to be losing because now all eyes turn to Lender. Lender here, you might say, listen for what he can do in this round because he needs to be the big impact, and that is a way to get yourself known. A C4 onto Doki, a player that's had a pretty good impact, but now on the other side, eyes turn to Sage. Sage versus Lender, they're the two who could have a massive impact in this round. Keep a close eye on them.
Ooh, the C4 on the door. Doki won't be breathing no more because Lender is giving it raw for FURIA. No spice, no seasoning, just meat from the Brazilians.
Lender's the one lurking. Yellow. Held down. Blur pushing his way up towards Spiral, secretly occurring at the bottom of service. You can see this kind of east side take coming in from Na'Vi and what it is they're jonesing up to try and do. A couple of players on the side of FURIA. One in the basement, interestingly, as well. Makes me curious to know if they've maybe got that hatch open inside of the lobby and what they could do with it. In fact, no, it's this cubby that's opened up, but no C4. It's already been consumed. So the only one they've got is the one in Rare's back pocket at this point. That could be the one that strikes big depending on where he plays and where he gets himself set up. For Na'Vi, it looks like they're thinking about a way of where they're going to go for a plant, because secretly at the minute, I think helping to kind of get the drone work in. They're no doubt looking towards this front lobby plant, but they need that coverage from above. They need coverage in towards antechamber. A lot of things for Na'Vi still to set up in the last 45 seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be tight, right? You've got 44 seconds at the minute. Na'Vi's looking like what happens when you get to the end of the butter. They are spread thin. Luckily, though, Nath buttering up for a nice frag. Hits the shot onto Lender. Down to only 3 players on the defensive side of FURIA. 2 of them linked up, working with the buddy system. The Mozzie down in the depths below. They have at least got the audio cue and they know that the plant is coming down on the diffuser.
Here we go. Plant's down. They've got away with it. Na'Vi have done the hard part, and now it gets even harder. C4 coming out over the top. Gets smoked out for good measure. One goes down, but the diffuser is on the ground. Saves, finding Rare. Lender's off the field. Who's going to go big for the side of FURIA? Because whoever it is needs to make themselves known and stand up right now. Another one for Saves. Miracle. He needs to pull off a miracle in a 1 versus 3 if he's going to keep this one alive. There's one above. There's 2 towards Spiral. I don't think he can do it. He's a lick away from death. Finds one onto Blur, who's not had the best game himself so far. But with 10 seconds left, he can't get the kills. He can't get the defuse. Overtime is on the cards, Jackie.
Woo, it's happening. Oh, man. Out of any of the games that could have casted Dez, this has been a historic one. The LATAM side getting themselves to match point first. The EU team battling back, taking us to OT. What a hoot, Dez.
Oh, again, it's what we wanted on the B stream, hey? It's just turning into one of these where it's playing out to be something a little bit special, a little bit magical between the two teams. And B stream, Group B on the B stream is turning into an absolute banger. I've got no way to understand or know or predict how these next 3 rounds go. It's FURIA on the attack. We commented that maybe they looked a little bit stronger on the defensive side, but Na'Vi swung it back towards the end. This is anyone's game.
The real winners here, though, is everyone at home, Des, because this has been huge. 6-6 into OT. It's not about the friends we've made along the way. It's just about this OT. This is where the game begins again. Forget everything you saw in regulation. That goes out the window. This is a whole new kettle of fish that we're opening up.
Saves is on 16 kills, by the way, and we've still got potentially 3 rounds of overtime to play, and the man keeps on making himself known. He could be pushing towards that 20 mark. It feels almost like a thing you have to say when you cast in Siege if you get to overtime and someone's on 15 plus kills that, ooh, the LAN record, he might get himself over 20 and could start pushing towards it. You just don't know, though. I just get the feeling there's a lot more mileage in these last 3 rounds and that we're going to see even crazier stuff than what we've seen in those first 12 rounds of regulation.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, it's interesting as well, right? Because obviously you're looking at the performance now for Na'Vi. Doki on 8 frags, slightly falling behind the wayside. Blur as well on 3. We thought we'd see a little bit more from Blur, specifically into this matchup. It's not been there. Luckily, you've had a huge step up from saves. Naif as well, 11 frags, but it's the impact that those 11 kills had. When he's come in and we've seen him actually hitting headshots, it's been at such a critical point in the round. So for me, if that Goyo's still alive, you better watch yourself.
Just a reminder of what's at stake here as well for both of these teams. There is the OT rules in effect. It's 2 points to the winner, 1 point to the loser. I said earlier on that Na'Vi need to get something from this game for it to not be lights out tomorrow. I feel they've at least got themselves towards the finish line of getting something from it, which is good. But ideally here, you want to turn this into a win in the same way FURIA took the win over SSG yesterday. Because realistically, these are the 2 teams that are now going head-to-head and nail-biting at each other to see who gets over the finish line. Group B's becoming the hardest to call of the bunch.
It's rough as well, right? Because obviously no matter what, you've already stunted yourself in terms of points you're going to get from this win. OT win, you take 2 of them. For a team like Na'Vi that's already lost a game, even then that could do some damage to their overall group standing. So everything up in the air, a game that had so much weight to it, already looking far heavier. Minute and 40 on the clock then for the first round of OT. FURIA on the attack, unable to do what they did in regulation. No early opening kill just yet.
Lender trying to push his way through with her banner into copy. Looking to copy some of the previous round success in getting that meeting wall opened up, but so far denied out. I'm kind of surprised by as to why it didn't go off, to be honest. I think they're more waiting to see what happens next as they get themselves on the window and then force the player that would be inside a meeting to move. Either that or it was taken off the wall potentially from distance. I'm not 100% sure, but Na'Vi say, right, that's enough. Time to back away. Don't need to hold on to that top floor for much longer.
Time running out as well. Final 60. The round is starting to sail away like Rosie and Jim on that old tug boat. So let's see who can start to tug themselves back into the game here. Bit of push and pull needs to kick off. Here we are, talking to the man. He does kick off, literally. Doki headbutts the first in front of him. That's rare. Tossed to the wayside as FURIA now have to fight back 5 versus 4.
And on the attack as well, you've lost your hard breach. Yes, you're not attacking onto the downstairs side, so it's far from the end of the world, but Nate strikes big. Fantasy, no longer living in a fantasy, but instead a nightmare, loses his head. 5 and 3 for Na'Vi and 30 seconds to play. You're not going to be worried about this. Lender charging his way forward. He is the man of the hour. 13 kills to his name. Secretly goes a little bit bigger. 2 kills come flying through, but is it going to be enough? Miracle onto a slither of HP. High's taken down. Na'Vi might have just done enough here. They get themselves towards the finish line. One more round. A good shot from Miracle, but I don't think he finds everything that he needs here. Can't quite finish the kill. The diffuser is cold on the ground. Na'Vi take the round, and FURIA have one last chance to get themselves those 2 points.
Oh, god damn, Des. When I saw the kill feed come up and the fact that Doki had been hit with the Butcher Pete, had his meat chopped, I was thinking, all right, here we go. The disrespect's coming out. They're hitting their shots. FURIA, they're going to be on for a clutch. No time, though. And no round for FURIA. Na'Vi picking up a much-needed win. 7-6. Oh, this is hectic.
Oh, isn't it just? Isn't it just? But this is what we want on the B stream. We want the back and forth. We want it to go through to overtime. We want to see it go all the way. I mean, admittedly, for our sleep schedules, maybe I don't, because we already had like a 45 minutes to 60-minute delay. We're already ending today about 2 a.m. You know, what's an extra hour or two, right? We'll see it go all the distance.
Oh, man, keep it rolling. Honestly, I'm here for it. If this is the quality of games we're going to be getting, and the quality of rounds as well, Des, right? It's not like these rounds have really been super heavily one-sided. We've seen nice early frags that were coming out from FURIA. We've seen them playing slow. We've seen the methodical strategy that's been done from them. Same can be said for Na'Vi. Both teams look very mechanically sound right now, and a lot of it is just coming down to which player will step up in the round. Unsustainable rounds being won here. I think that's why this Consulate game's been so interesting.
Absolutely agree. I mean, again, I always say it, but B will continue to be the most interesting group of the bunch. On this setup again, heavy lean in towards utility and vision coming out for Furia, but this time not leaning in towards the Yokai, stepping instead towards those Maestro Evil Eyes. Mozzie still on side. I think this maybe from Na'Vi was the smart ban with the mute, was the acknowledgement of mute Mozzie is a pretty strong thing in the back pocket of Furia. Take one of those two away from them, you give themselves a little bit more breathing room, but Na'Vi historically have been a little bit slow on attacking this site, I felt. Got a bit caught up on the top floor, didn't start doing the renovation works inside a piano to get that garage wall opened up in time. That's what I want to see be a bit quicker for them in this round, a bit of a faster pace towards getting control of piano.
Bit of a faster pace. See you can start to bust up some faces. Talking of which, Fantasy, hello, peering through the window. Wanted to give him a little bit of how's your father, Des, but no one's there to take it.
Not yet. Not just yet.
No. A little bit later.
This wall needs opening. It needs to get opened up relatively soon as well. I know for a lot of teams it's a, don't worry about opening it until later in the round, but generally in Europe you see it open up inside about 60 seconds. You clear out the players above and then worry about the rest. But Furia staging a pretty heavy resistance inside a piano. They really like this grand piano jacking. They don't want to see it taken away.
They do. They're a big fan. They recently had it tuned and they want to keep it in their possession. Issue is, though, Na'Vi looking like a team possessed. Oh, blur! He's been turned into a ghost. He'll be left to haunt the piano room, but that's all he can do. No more effect from him in the round as he's not in the land of the living anymore. Sent off to the underworld.
Easily knocked about $2,000 of value off that grand piano, taking the roof off it as well. What a shame. And with that, he goes, you know what? Don't want it anymore. It's not quite the same it was when I first got it. Not interested. Off to the car boot sale with you. Lender up towards the top floor, looking to contest at least onto the CEO window as someone now console window. I still always say CEO. Repelling inside of the console window, sorry. Have now got themselves that top floor control that they were looking for. But 90 seconds have gone and Na'Vi is still sniffing around the control that they want.
You could just call it the Bezos window.
Why is that? Because of the CEO window?
Just big man Bezos. Woo! Hello. Lender nearly had his feet blown off. Able to stay alive, though, as the nade rolls in. Just takes off one of his toes. Might make it a little bit cheaper for him to buy shoes, Des.
Maybe just a little bit. One inside of the bathroom holding here as well. He could be the big spoiler rare. I mean, they know that he's here because of that spray he's just bringing out. But look for Na'Vi here. 50 seconds to play. The 4 versus 5 and still haven't got full control of this ground floor. That's the sort of thing that comes back to sting if you're not careful. Rare dropping down through the breach as they know that the actual breach has been opened up on the wall. Took a bit of time, but now that it's open, Furia scattered to the winds, all pushing out towards office. Inside a cafeteria, they've got C4s on side, but the frags need to follow.
The final 30 seconds of this round will be historic. Does it go 7-7 or will it be a shutdown? 8-6. With the EU side flying their flag high, besting the Brazilians. Fantasy, waiting behind the shield. Let's see if he can shill himself into this one. Peers round on the corner. His teammates dying around him. Highs is the first to fall. Back down onto the ground. Fantasy clamoring on, hoping to hit the shot, but instead it's the rest of the boys that make the business. The swing comes out. Na'Vi with 2. Back on Fantasy with a final headshot onto Sage. 2 seconds on the round. It can't be done as Furia pick it up and take us all the way to a 7-7.
Round 15, Jackie. We've gone the full distance. We've done it.
This has been a treat. This is better than Christmas morning when you have the one big present that your mum says you're not allowed to open.
Have to wait until Christmas Day, and we're about 4 months too early for that.
Probably around there, yeah.
This is where you run off to your dad and just go, Dad, please can I open it? And he goes, all right then, take a peek, have a look.
All right.
And here's what we've unwrapped.
Either that or he just goes, speak to your mother.
That's when you know you're really screwed.
Yeah,
that's always the way. You kind of play in the politics between the parents, and one says no, you ask the other, and you know you're really screwed when they say, I'll go back and ask them.
Yeah, it's just like, I can't, I've already done it. It's a nightmare.
Doors shut in front of your face. No early Christmas presents to that one.
Son's crying.
However, we'll take this as our early one in the day because, of course, Son's crying. I'm crying. There's still a lot more to come today, and this game is proven to be one of those midday bangs that we've been screaming for. It's only the second of 7 games that we've got today, Jackie.
God damn. Well, here we go then. This is going to be something special. 7-7, Na'Vi on the defense, Furia back on attack, and obviously Des as well, right? Obviously, a big factor is Furia looked really good on defense. That was where they started to build themselves a nice buffer of rounds. That's where they started getting into the groove and hitting some lovely shots. On attack, they might struggle here. I feel like it could be a bit of a difference maker, honestly, as the last round.
5 seconds to go.
That bulletproof camera being put in jail as well. Inside of the console window, you can drop it on a reinforcement. You can dig into it. Chuck one inside, put a little laser gate in front of it as well. Make sure it is very well protected. It's like trying to pull off a bank job here where you're trying to steal the diamond that's protected by lasers. Have to see some dangerous work by FURIA to get around that one and look for a plant inside of Console here. Imagine that's the sort of thing they'll be gunning for. On the other side for FURIA, where Na'Vi gave up and playing the IQ, FURIA has said, you know what, we need it on side. We can't be dealing with those yokais. That could be a pivotal part of this round. Keep a close eye on those yokais.
FURIA looking like a well-oiled machine here, running perfectly as they all stay grouped, taking top floor control and then working their way down. Meanwhile, on the lower levels, Doki towards the piano. Looks like Fantasy could be attempting to get himself an opener here. Does drop the drone in, at least to clear out towards B site, and now knows that most of it is open up and they can get a little bit more control back over the ward stairs.
Pushing his way. Looking down yellow, hoping to find someone lurking around, but no one's been skulking here. They're all being good boys waiting for Christmas, sat up on their bedrooms, up on the top floor. All except one little naughty boy who's ran down to the fridge just late on its saves. But knowing what he's done so far in this game, I'm pretty sure parents of Na'Vi, they'll let him get away with that one. He could be the big player for them. 17 kills has been quite an overtime, and Nath is the one who's really stepped up in that absence. 14 kills for him. On the other side, you're looking towards Fantasy. You're looking towards Lender. Even Miracle pushing the envelope here and getting over 10 kills as well. A lot of names that have got a big role to play in this round.
Slow and steady wins the race, it seems. FURIA. Few tags here and there. But where is the first real frag going to be coming from? Na'Vi keeping themselves slightly further back, opening up as well on some of the barricades. Filthy Kurt angle there on towards the stairway. That means that Miracle is going to be stuck in the mud. Has no way to actually get himself further up at the minute until they clear him off.
Raid singing in here as well. They're ringing in everywhere. It's Explosive City out towards Yellow Stairs. One more out towards Main and gets away with it as well. Lender is getting the plant down in a 5 versus 5. Ooh. How can Na'Vi let it happen? He gets pulled off at the last second. The Yokai coming out. He's stuck in the smoke. He's down to a slither of HP. But now Lender has got himself tucked in the corner. It's the hatch hopping Yokai. Why wouldn't it be? Lender now tucked away. Needs to get in a spot where he can make this plant work. Doki, the one pushing down towards Yellow. Does he know that anyone's playing around the bottom of it? Not too sure. I don't think he even knows that Lender is tucked in away just to his left-hand side. That could be a lot of damage if Lender gets away with another plant.
The final 25 seconds. It all comes down to this. Blur busts the doors clean off as he hits the first onto Lender, leaving him laid down. Rare with one. The team kill comes out for Na'Vi. Absolute nonsense. It's left them in a rough position. A 2v3. 10 seconds on the clock. FURIA, they got to get the diffuser down and keep their players alive. Nath, though, wants to make himself up for his sins. Finds the flick back onto Miracle, secretly traded. No feud, but it's all on Rare. The flick up with a 5-7, see you later, takes it square. FURIA have done it.
Unbelievable that it would come down to a 1 versus 1 in round 15, and it's rare. It's rare to see him having the big play moments like that, but that is a way to get yourself in the history books, my son. That could be the one pivotal point that makes a difference come the end of Group B. What a fixture that has been.
Just absolutely unreal. From start to finish, quality game. We had the entry frags that came out from FURIA. We had speed, we had aggression, we had strategy, we had Na'Vi fighting limb from limb, tearing themselves apart, Des.
Oh, mate. That was something magic. From start to finish, the whole way through. Just looking at how it shaped up. I want to see more of that in future. I'm so glad that we get to see those two teams play a second time tomorrow. I'm hoping it's even much as a screamer of that. FURIA are going to be exhausted. They have played max round count in both games so far. 30 rounds across 2 maps. Bless them. They came here to play, and my God, are they doing it.
Oh, absolutely. Someone that's going to be happy with their plays as well, of course, will be Tim, because FURIA have only gone and done it, Tim.
Matchup we have just witnessed between Na'Vi and FURIA. It was always a lose-lose for me. The two teams that I really enjoy watching. Got a lot of time for both of them, but what a way for it to end, Jackie. 1v1 at the end.
Just ridiculous, right? Like, as players go, that's probably the most important one of the whole damn game. The flick off of the diffuser, hits the shot and just mops it up like a spilt drink. Nothing more to be done. They get themselves the 2 points. They're going to be happy.
Lots of big games coming out for different players, Des. I mean, I saw the kill count for Nath there. He's come out big for Na'Vi today.
Hasn't he just? It's the peripheral players. You know, we were talking about Blur in the pre-game. We mentioned about saves. We mentioned about Doki. But really, it has come from the back line there. Nate doing a lot of work. Saves doing the same. But ultimately, not enough to quite get it over the finish line. But as I mentioned at the end of the game, the fact that it come down to a 1 versus 1 in the final round, that tells you all you need to know about this game. Group B, I am ridiculously impressed by these three teams. I can watch them play every single day for the rest of my life quite happily because it is phenomenal, Siege.
It is. It's just so entertaining. You know, every time you sit down for one of these games. And the best thing is we get to do it all again. Over the next day and a half, we will see all of these matchups again. It's gonna be amazing. But Jackie, talk to me about Na'Vi. 2 games in, 2 losses. They picked up 1 point there from the overtime loss, but it's starting to become a bit of a slippery slope for them.
Yeah, it's rough, right? Obviously, at the start of the game on defense, they were just losing early entry frag on early entry frag. They went down the first 3 rounds before we finally saw Doki being able to do some damage. Doki as a whole as well, it felt like quite a muted game for him, and it's unexpected. Just in the middle of the pack. Nothing outrageous, nothing too bad. Saves was obviously one of the key players for him that was able to at least give them some kind of a leg up. Nath doing his best at the very end. It just felt like the pieces were in the right place, Tim, but at times they didn't have all 5 players performing their best.
And looking at the other side of the coin, Des, FURIA find themselves on 4 points, 2 overtime wins now, edging closer to that playoff position.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's still a big day to come. Well, another game for Na'Vi to come. The big day tomorrow for FURIA. The scary thing for them is they've got 2 games tomorrow. They could blast past for SSG and Na'Vi here and secure a first place lock-in quite possibly. The game today, if nothing else, really goes to show they aren't scared of matching aggression. The counter spawn peaks coming onto Doki, ludicrous. They ain't scared. They will happily stand up and match anyone. I'm just excited to see him play SSG again and see what that looks like, to be honest.
Honestly, this is it. I can't wait. We were sort of waiting for that moment now where FURIA stretch the legs a little bit more, maybe get it done inside 12 rounds, start, you know, really going in and actively beating teams. But they're just, I think, surprising a lot of people, Jackie. They're going to continue surprising people.
Oh, they will. They absolutely will. And they're one of those teams that I think, obviously, you know, if you haven't given them a chance, if you haven't watched any of the LATAM games and you're seeing them here and thinking, all right, this team's causing some upsets, they're causing a bit of a stir, give them a chance. Genuinely. The players have so much personality to them. We had that blessing of speaking to them so much, Tim. The firepower's there, the determination's there, and they're all just lovely guys.
They certainly are, and you can see it on the faces at the end there. You can see the celebrations, Twister's in there hugging all the players. They've just got a great sort of team ethic mentality going on there. We can have a look at the stats from the matchup. We haven't really mentioned any of the individual players for FURIA. Des, who were the standouts for you?
It's kind of a hard one. I mean, Lender's the one you'd lean towards. You know, again, the counter spawn peaks onto Doki really caught me by surprise. Really enjoyed seeing them. Fantasy had some good rounds in the mix. Highs Quiet today was the one that I was watching out for a lot yesterday. But I think you look across the kills, to be honest, with the Highs being the only player below 10, and even then not having a bad game. If nothing else, to me, it more screams that it's a team effort. And it sounds like a real cop-out answer, but genuinely, everyone has got involved today and made themselves heard, to be honest.
The survivability is something that stands out for me for Highs there. You know, you say he hasn't got as involved in the kills, but 73% cost and surviving in 6 out of the 15 rounds. A great game from him. It wouldn't be fair, Jackie, not to mention saves. Head and shoulders above a lot of his team there. Really stood up for Na'Vi today.
Absolutely. He was coming out really strong, effective in the early round, still able to hold his own, even into the late round, right? Obviously had a bit of a blessing when the fact that Nath started hitting his shots, started getting himself into the game. It just came a little bit too late. In terms of consistency, you could see just from the FURIA kill feed, right? Like, it was so much closer together. High's the only one that was a little bit on the downside. I think it's just the raw 5 looked better on the day, Tim.
Certainly did, and I think it is fair to say that everybody needs a little bit of a breather after that 15-round banger that we've just seen between Na'Vi and FURIA. We're going to let you have a little breather. Don't go anywhere. It's just going to be a short break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to be right back into it. I'll be back on the mic with Des, and we're going to bring you the big game between Empire and TSM, so don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more Mexico Major madness coming your way.